You know I'm back, like I never left.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Studio B, where we kick off a new series where we're talking to coaches about how they are preparing for such an unusual season amid the coronavirus pandemic. For our first interview, we're talking to head JV volleyball coach and assistant varsity volleyball coach Jim Langolis. So stay right here for Lang's interview. Lang, thanks for coming on the podcast today.
It's always a pleasure. What an honor it always is to be on this show.
Oh, thank you. And then, so let's start it off with volleyball has been one of the highly debated sports in Connecticut regarding what modifications would be needed for volleyball to be played this fall. The CIAC and the Department of Public Health came together on guidelines which allowed volleyball to be played inside. Ultimately, athletes have to wear masks while playing. As a coach, how do you feel about this modification, and do you see it affecting your game plan?
That's hard to say, Jake, because nobody's done it before. That's the thing. It's not like this has been tried, you know. How's it affected us? Yesterday was the first day of practice inside, and the kids were just happy to be inside and playing real volleyball instead of played for 2 weeks on a softball field in the dirt and the wind and then all the elements. And so it felt like real practice for the first time this year yesterday. I really can't speak for them yet because we really haven't talked about it because, again, yesterday was only the first practice. How do I feel? Better than nothing. You know, I can't imagine what it's like to be a high school football player or a high school coach right now, because it's I don't understand it.
And then that brings up a question of, do you think it's going to affect how the game is played ultimately throughout the season? Are we going to see a different style of play that we haven't seen before at the high school volleyball level?
I don't know. It's so brand new and it's so hard to say. But yesterday, for me, and I don't want to speak for the players, and I certainly don't want to speak for Coach Aramoni, but after about a half an hour into practice, I don't even know if you realized you had your mask on anymore. It was just like, hey, we're playing volleyball. And the one really good thing about high school athletes is they're really adaptable. And they can adapt to almost any kind of, you know what, give me the rule. This is what we're going to do, and we'll go. And our kids have done a tremendous job of handling that. Nobody's complained or, oh, this is dumb. They haven't done any of that. So I commend them. And I really believe by the end of this week, they'll probably go, okay, this is how it is, and let's go.
And exactly. That's one thing everyone has to be right now in these times is adaptable, and sports
Right.
are nothing less of that. Everyone's
Yeah,
adapting.
if you want to,
things.
And that's what we told the players. Coach Armour did a great job, I think, of telling the kids, listen, this is how it is. It's either this or nothing. And if you played a spring sport like I know you did and Hannah and a bunch of the volleyball kids, I'd rather do this than miss another season.
Exactly. And then you talked about it earlier. You had outside practice, which is quite weird for an inside sport like volleyball. So what was that experience like for you, and how did it change the training plan because of how early it was, and how you got to sometimes add fundamentals into that early period?
Well, how did it change? Not much, because we only had an hour and you could only do 30 minutes of skill work anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So it didn't really affect it that much because a lot of our skill work for the first half hour anyway is passing drills, where the elements don't have as much of a factor as they would if you were serving all the time, or if you're playing, I pass the ball to you and it's pretty high and you got to set it. When we did some hitting, it did affect it. And you've been on the hill, and if anybody's ever been up on the Plainfield High School softball field, we sit literally on top of Shepherd Hill, probably the highest point of Shepherd Hill, and the wind can go. And it did have a couple of days where it went, and we had a couple of serves that almost went out of the ballpark because he just hit it and the wind took it. And so that was different. But again, we adapted pretty well to it.
Do you think that so now because volleyball you're having it get thrown around, is that going to help you in the long run with trying to project where it might go now that you had that now that you had the win, like had to project it?
Jake, I don't know. I mean, you have to ask the setters that more than me. I want to say no. We weren't there long enough to do it. We didn't set and hit every day. We only did it for 15 minutes at a clip because of our COVID cohorts. So, I'm going to say no, probably not.
And then you lost 5 seniors last year, including ECC Division III All-Star Elena Dioje. How is the team going to adjust to their absence, especially by the net this year?
Well, that's something. Our middles are going to be pretty inexperienced, varsity wise, but athletic wise, very, very good. I think Coach Aramoy's got some really talented. We got some very talented players. Period. And we did lose a lot, and we lost Elena and a few others. Big keys to what we did and what we did well. But like every year, you're going to lose them, so you might as well start adapting. But we do return 2 really strong hitters in Kristen Ryder and Olivia Bissett. Just so I think we'll be fine there. I think our middles are going to pick it up pretty quick. Coach was very pleased with the way yesterday went, and we got 90 minutes yesterday. From what I've seen, and I take a little pride in this, our passing is better already than it was last year, and I'm considered the passing coach. And we've got a great passer, and she's probably going to be our libero this year in Evelyn Messinger. And we've got some young passers coming in that are going to help a lot. So I think we're going to be pretty good.
And then last year you finished at 500 with a 9-9 record. With this team, what can we expect for them?
Record-wise,
or even just if you want to give me a hot take, I'll take a hot take. Whatever you're in practice every day. You're in that gym.
I know. A hot take. Well, I think our record will be over 500. I don't see us being, and to be quite honest, I don't see us being around 500. I expect us to be pretty well over 500. Now, I don't know if we'll go 12-0. I don't want to be like that, but because Griswold real good, Killingly good, Woodstock always a great team, New London good athletes, and Wyndham can jump you if you don't pay attention. Wyndham will get you, and you got to respect them, and you got to respect everybody we play. Putnam is improving athletic wise, so they're we're not going to take anybody for granted, no matter who we play. A hot take. I think we will be better in the back row defensively this year than we've been in a while.
All right, because I'm scheduled to come broadcast a couple of games this year, so I'm excited to see if that back row is going to be pretty good defensively, so that you can hold to your hot take.
Well, I mean, listen, I'm on the record now, so it's.
All right, and now, how do you feel? You're a big part of Plainfield Athletics. How do you feel about the regional scheduling that everybody, your team, and including all the other teams, are facing this year?
I think it's a very good move. First of all, you get to play somebody. I mean, we haven't played Wyndham Tech ever. We haven't played Norwich Tech in a long time, so that's kind of neat to play and see other people. But I mean, why do you want to be on a bus? I think we're going to East Lyme this year. I don't want to go to East Lyme in a regular year on a bus. So it helps cut down the travel. I think our schedule's pretty good. I mean, listen, nothing's perfect. You do the best you can, and the people that made the schedule deserve a lot of credit. I can't imagine the kind of hours they put in to make this thing. So Anybody that's moaning and groaning but is playing needs a reality check. Maybe they need to go and hang out with football coaches for a while.
Mm-hmm. All right. That's going to do it for this episode of the Panther Podcast. I'd like to thank Lang for coming on. Thanks, Lang.
It's always a pleasure, my friend. Thanks for having me.
All righty. Stay here. And that's going to do it for this episode of the Panther Podcast. I would like to thank my guest, Jim Langolis, for taking the time out of his day to sit down with me and have a conversation. Executive producer is Mr. Jordan. Project supervisor is Dr. Bickgood. On-site producer is Hannah Irons. I'm Jacob Irons. Signing off. Down on those hitters. Bye, guys.